Last time on this ship,
I finally escaped the Draenor village chunk by getting level 89 crafting by cutting gems obtained from over 435,000 Stardust worth of bags full of gems, and got level 90 fletching by making over 200,000 amethyst arrows. Being a sailing themed Xtreme One Chunk account, I allow myself to roll water adjacent chunks even if there's no land connection. So I was overly excited when I finally rolled my first water adjacent chunk after almost a year of playing the account. That excitement was short-lived, however, as we then immediately rolled Entrana, which was probably the worst chunk we could have rolled out of any of our prospective chunks.
No!
Finally having access to a furnace and with a buttload of ore stocked up from getting over 26 million mining XP, we now have zero excuses to actually tackle the grind that's the bane of every One Chunk account's existence: smithing. I guess roll the intro. Ah, damn it. Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Sailing Chunk. We're going to get right into the video, but before we do, I'd like to extend a special thank you to our newest channel members. Dewey joins us at the Sapphire tier, Jason Grace joins us at the Emerald tier, Alexander Nielsen has renewed at the Emerald tier, and Missile and Will Aftering have joined us at the Opal tier. Thanks so much for your support. So, Entrana, the place where monks go to roam and dreams go to die. As mentioned in the recap, this quaint little island is home to our first and only furnace on the account, but that's not where the buck stops with this Saradominus sanctuary. Let's rip off the band-aid and get right to the chunk tasks. First things first, we'll be completing a Falador Easy Diary task when we sail to Entrana. Next, from the river that flows through the center of the island, we'll be able to catch a salmon at level 30 fishing. Besides that, it's basically all smithing. Obviously the end goal here would be to get level 99 smithing so we can smith a rune plate body. We'll also have to get level 61 range to wield a rune crossbow and 40 strength for a rune warhammer, both of which we'll be able to create on the way to 99 smithing. Besides that, we have multiple best in slot tasks that we'll be completing along the way, all from smithing. One piece of kit to call out in particular is the rune felling axe, which we'll be happy to create with our felling axe handle now that we'll be getting our first rune axe at level 86 smithing. Another notable best in slot task is obtaining an adamant plate body, which, if smithed in the Draenor sewers, completes an elite diary task for the Lumbridge and Draenor achievement diaries. Speaking of achievement diaries, I sort of forgot one that was semi-accessible to us, placing a scarecrow in the Falador Farm flower patch, which is a Falador medium diary task. Although this will require us to train up our passive farming skill a bit higher to level 47 so that we can grow our own watermelons. That's it for the chunk test in the moment, but as I said, there's more than meets the eye with this holy haven. Why don't we jump into the in-game progress so we can get our first easy task completed, then I'll see you right back here in about 25 seconds. Okay? Go! Alright, here we are at the docks of Entrana, about to take our boat to Entrana totally for the first time ever. Oh my gosh, we're here for the first time ever. Look, diary task complete. Chunk task complete. For the first time. Oh, steel candles? There it is. Damn it. Why? You may be wondering why I'm upset that I have a candle spawn here. I mean, they're just candles, right? What could I possibly have against candles? Well, one of the chunks that I'm able to roll is West Falador, which has the giant mole boss in it. And if you didn't know, the giant mole requires a light source in order to kill it. And before picking up this candle, I didn't have one. So now whenever I roll West Falador, I'll have to complete all possible giant mole tasks, which includes getting a 1 in 3,000 pet drop. I wouldn't normally be too scared about this grind, but I did get the baby mole pet at 20 KC on my Ironman while going for the combat achievements. So I feel like I'm due to go another 6,000 or so kills before I see a second one in my lifetime. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I didn't even realize, but I wasn't recording. I was just streaming this, but I got my salmon, so that's a chunk task complete. Let's go. And there's level 70 cooking on the account. That wasn't necessary at all, but it's a nice boost to the total levels. And we can always come back here if we want to do more. Since I'm going to be doing just smithing, I do have 2 beginner steps, and I'm going to attempt to send a 2-step beginner clue, just because I don't want to have to juggle these, and I'm not going to be getting any clues from any of the other stuff that I'm doing. Let's see. Okay, we do not get a back-to-back step, so let's run back to Entrana, pick up our other beginner clue, and hopefully we get a 2-step. Otherwise, we just wasted that beginner, but that's fine. It's a beginner. I literally have 7 more in the bank. Of course, while I'm here, I'm going to double dip into my trip and make myself 7 adamant bars because my movement back and forth is very costly. So I might as well get the most out of it that I can. All right, here we are. Let's hope that we get a 2-step. Oh no. Wasted. Okay, well, now we can officially start our smithing grind. All right, I just lamped myself to 26 agility. So that means that we have a new chunk test that we can do. We run ourselves all the way over here to the southern end of the Falador wall, right here at this underwall tunnel that is level 26 agility. So there we go, that is a new chunk task complete. So now that I got to level 26 agility, I'm sort of contemplating what I'm going to do as far as lamping goes. I looked it up, and using the OSRS Genie Lamp and Books of Knowledge calculator, I would need 106 lamps or 71 books in order to get from level 26 to level 42 agility, which is what the requirement is for this particular tunnel. And I can tell you this tunnel would probably save me a decent amount of time. I know that they made this quicker. I'd go right to the bank, be able to hit the tunnel, run right through the tunnel, run right over here, and not have to go all throughout all these bushes and all these trees and then finagle my way down through here, through the market. I'm thinking I should just continue lamping agility. I need to put the lamp somewhere, and I'm going to be here a long time, so might as well do it there. Well, hello everybody. I bet you can't tell where I am. That's right, we're back at Motherlode Mine. If you recall, long ago back in episode 2, I said I didn't want the broken struts to count as a smithing method for me due to numerous reasons, which I'll let past RuneScape give you a refresher on now.
Reason number 1, the chunk provides us with a couple huge future grinds that I feel make up for potentially skipping this 99 smithing requirement at the moment.
Editor's note here, this was me talking about the 89 crafting and 90 fletching requirement, which thankfully we already got done.
I'm all for getting 99s when I've been given the chunk with the skill cape. The smithing skill cape is actually pretty close. It's an easy 2 chunks away from here at Booster Point. That makes reason number 2 my proximity to the smithing cape. Reason number 3, it relates to one of my original chunk rules outlined in episode 0. Picture this. You've just spent 1,000 hours clicking rocks, maxing out one of RuneScape's most boring skills, stacking up over 100,000 ores in your bank, all ready to be used to create some of the finest Chad armor you've ever seen. However, you say screw all that ore, and decide to click on a strut for another 1,000 hours, maxing that skill instead, without putting even a dent in the stack of ores you painstakingly ripped from the walls of these mines. What a freaking meme, man. I want to be able to use the resources I gather to process the account in a meaningful manner, not have them just sit in the bank. Reason number 4 is that I can come up with some other unique, engaging way to train smithing as the account progresses. Finally, reason number 5 is that I want to actually play the account, continuing to make progress and continuing to have interesting stuff to show you all in videos like these. Grinding 99 smithing through broken struts alone adds at least another 2 months to this chunk with no real content gain.
So, needless to say, I have my reasons for not getting 99 smithing already, and based on the comments I received from that video, the vast majority of you agreed that leaving smithing for another day was the right move. Many of you even said I should just wait until I get the cape chunk, but we'll come back to that later. I intentionally wanted to play back that segment for you so you can hold me accountable. Repairing broken struts can be up to 10 times faster than smelting bars, at least with my Entrana method, so I'll definitely still use the broken strut method when I can, but just to ensure we actually finish this chunk with a ton of bars in the bank, I will be serving my time taking trips back and forth to the Entrana furnace regardless of how slow it is. Okay, I completely missed the level up message, like I didn't even get it in chat here, but I just got level 73 smithing from repairing broken struts. I just reached 1,000 adamant bars. That's super exciting. These are taking a very long time. Normally at this point I'd want to make a grind math with RuneScape segment just to give you some perspective about how long this grind will take, but that will be allocating even more time to this grind. So I'll just have a friend give you the info you need in the most agile way possible.
Hey everyone, my name is Agile Tom, and for some reason RuneScape has allocated his math segment to me this episode. Probably because I'm more eloquent and articulated than him, or he just had too many brews at the bar last night. I guess we'll never know. Anyway, if you're familiar with the way I like to play my Xtreme One Chunk count, I'd rather just start the chunk task and take care of the math stuff later. But this grind made me glad that RuneScape is not that guy, because this grind is terrible. You would think that unlocking a furnace would be a godsend, and Sailing Chunk would be a happy boy doing his smithing grinds, but no. The old archaic ways of doing smithing in this game are broken. Don't even get me started on that. Not to mention the walk to Narnia to get there, and the extra ores to mine. Has this man not mined enough already? Look at that cape on his back. Just to summarize it, using the furnace and anvil to finish the smithing task would take thousands of trips back and forth, adding up to many arduous hours of work, leading to the kicker, which is that fixing struts in the Motherlode mine is still the top choice for getting this chunk man his 99 smithing cape. What a beautifully messed up game we play.
A huge thanks to Agile Tom for lending his time and voice to this video. I don't know if he's more articulated than I am, but I'm definitely more eloquent. Alright, we're going to be using up the last of the iron ore that I have here. I actually changed the inventory tag color on the iron ore in my inventory because I kept getting all the way to Entrana furnace and realizing I forgot either iron or coal. And this was an easy way for me to visually make sure I brought the correct things. I previously made all the iron into steel bars, but for this last trip, I'm going to go ahead and make some iron bars instead, just so I have some in the bank. But after this, I'm going to start making gold bars. I was able to make 14 out of the 24 iron ore into bars, which is a little lucky, but let's not talk about the ruby rings I have in my bank that I could have made into rings of forging. There's level 74 smithing while smelting gold bars. Here's a small milestone of less than 20k gold ore left to smelt, and I realize I actually got level 75 smithing quite a while ago. Anyway, I'm going to keep going with these gold bars. It's kinda chill. I don't know how much I'm going to do, but for now, I'll keep going. Keeping up on the farm runs when I can, we now have level 44 farming. 3 more levels to go until level 47 for that chunk task. So, let's talk about this 99 smithing task. When I first rolled Entrana, I was debating on whether I should level smithing all the way to 99, or if some other level would make more sense to help break up the progress on the account. At first, I settled on going ahead and getting 99 smithing, but at this point in the account, I started having second thoughts. Whoa, I know what you're thinking. What kind of fake Xtreme One Chunk Ironman skips out on this extreme grind, blah blah blah. Those are the cards that you were given and that you signed up for, blah blah blah. Well, it was around this time that I was dealt a card in my life that I had never thought I'd be handed. If you saw my last episode, I mentioned the reason why it had been a few months since my previous upload. Long story short, it was due to a botched plumbing job, which ended up making my house uninhabitable for me and my family for a total of 3 months. In that span of time, I was spending multiple hours per week, every week, for 3 months dealing with this issue. My family and I missed celebrating Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's in our home. My family needed a ton of support from me during this time, and personally, I needed a win. Oddly enough, one of the things that kept me going was playing old school RuneScape, and more specifically, playing this chunk account. However, something had to give. The time I had to play was significantly reduced, since obviously I had other things to worry about. When I did play, I felt that the end goal of 99 was just so distant, so unobtainable, that it made me not even want to play the account during this extremely difficult time in my life. I was already dealing with a seemingly never-ending real-life grind. Why would I keep subjecting myself to a never-ending in-game grind as well? As I said, I needed a win. I thought back to all the comments supporting me back when I rolled East Falador as my 3rd ever chunk on the account. I thought back to some of you saying I should just wait for the cape task so that all that work could actually mean something. So, I made a tough decision. The words you never want to hear come out of an Xtreme One Chunk Ironman's mouth. I made an exception. I'm not going to get 99 smithing in the Entrana chunk, but we will be getting it in the future whenever we roll either Remington or Southport Sarim, since that does give us direct access to the smithing skill cape and the chunk we already have unlocked. And I'm sure you've seen the title of this video, but for now, let's pretend we don't know what's coming and focus on what progress you're going to see before the next chunk roll later in the video. Originally, I was thinking we could stop at 85 smithing so we can smelt a rune bar, but I felt like that wasn't good enough, especially since I said no to the broken strut smithing in the past. I took a look back at my extra task list, and the answer was written right there on my backlog. Smithing an adamant plate body in Draenor sewers is commonly one of the last ones that an account will complete while going for the elite Lumberjane and Draenor achievement diaries, since it requires a massive 88 smithing. To pass RuneScape going through hell in real life, this was the magic number. It wasn't a measly 85, it wasn't 99, it wasn't an arbitrary halfway point like 92, it was a purposeful, meaningful, achievable 88. So that's what we're gonna do. And if you're a hardcore chunk enthusiast, a purist even, and you get upset at me saying I'm an Xtreme One Chunk Ironman, just know I like to think that you can't pronounce the word extreme without at the beginning. Anyway, let's talk about how this is going to impact our chunk tasks. So, we will still need 61 range, but just to wield runite bolts, since we won't be able to make a rune crossbow. We won't be needing 40 strength for anything, since we won't be able to make a rune warhammer, although we already have 40 strength, so this doesn't matter much. Our task to obtain an adamant plate body switches to smith an adamant plate body, and gets us our highest level 88 smithing requirement tacked onto it. Obviously, we're going to lose a ton of best in slot rune tasks since we won't be able to make most of them, but we can replace some of them with slightly worse best in slot tasks. but this does give us room to add the agility task we already completed to this list. Now with a slight reconfiguration here, I think we're ready to get on with the progress. Okay, so now with my new goal of finishing this chunk after 88 smithing, I have a new chunk task to complete after getting level 75. Let's craft ourselves an adamant scimitar to complete one of those new best in slot tasks. There we go, chunk task complete. I missed the level again, but there's 76 smithing. I'm kind of doing this passively while resting a bit, so it's easy for me to miss the levels. At this point, I honestly think I'll just end up making all of the gold ore into bars. It's definitely going to take a while, but I think it'll be nice to do something chill right now. There's 45 farming, only 2 more levels to go. Hopefully this harvest gets us... okay, nope, that was a poor yield. Yep, we're gonna be just shy. Dang, 13 XP to go. Hang on a sec, let me rake this herb patch. Dang it, 1 XP short. Let me go rake the spirit tree patch. There we go, now we are 1 level from finally being able to plant watermelons. Quick update, we're now down to a stack of just under 10,000 gold ore. Oof, we missed it again. 77 smithing, let's go. Okay, let's go ahead and harvest this rosemary, which will get us level 47 farming. Now since we'll be planting watermelons, we're going to go ahead and get a nasturtium going, since the watermelons will automatically be protected. Also, shout out to Lord of Bins, who I just saw on Entrana. He said he just subscribed and started watching the series. And you know what? You should subscribe as well. I really want to get to 10k before the end of the year, and 72% of you can help me reach that goal by just clicking that little subscribe button beneath the video. Thanks a lot. So let's go ahead and get these watermelons planted, and we'll just keep watering them until the nasturtium fully grows. Oh, look at that. The chunk test plugin actually completed the task, but it's not completed just yet. I technically have to harvest the watermelons, not just plant them. Well, I've super composted my watermelons thanks to the pineapples I can buy from the charter ship crew members on the Moosa Point docks, but the nasturtiums already grew, so we are fully protected now. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the bank to grab what I need to make the scarecrow for that other chunk task. We need a bronze spear, which I got from killing goblins in Port Sarim, plus a single coin so we can buy a sack from Sarah. So let's get this sack purchased. Okay, now we fill it with hay. Then use the spear on the hay sack, giving us a hay sack. Okay, but this one has the spear in it. And while I wait the last few minutes for the watermelons to finish, I'm going to take another load of gold to Entrana. And I should be able to take this hay sack with me since you can't revert it and get the spear back. Although that would be kind of cool. Okay, the watermelons have grown, so let's get these harvested. Alright, harvest a watermelon chunk task complete. Now let's put a watermelon on a hay sack with the spear in it to complete the scarecrow. And let's remove the nasturtium to make room for the scarecrow. Place the scarecrow in the patch, and there we go. A medium Falador task completed and another chunk task complete. You may be looking at this and wondering, hey, what are you doing in Lumbridge? Well, I wanted to show off a little milestone that we've achieved on the account, and that's that the account is now officially 1 year old. I noticed it was 2 days out from me getting my 1 year rank in the One Chunk clan chat, and I remembered that I joined the clan 2 days after I started the account. So here we are. Thankfully, since I spawned in Lumbridge and just ran west to Port Sarim, I didn't even unlock any new music tracks coming back this way, and if you don't click continue on the Hans dialogue, you don't actually complete the easy diary task. So it was like I was never here. Since it is the 1 year anniversary, we can also do a quick account overview. This year we played a total of 64 days and 23 hours. That's just over 1,550 hours for those keeping score at home. I told you, I don't actually play that much. We've completed 60 collection logs, being mostly from random events, clues, and some miscellaneous things like Motherlode Mine and Shooting Stars. Obviously, we have no combat achievements or quests completed. For skills, we're sitting at 1,112 total, with our highest skill sitting at 99 mining, with almost 27.8 million XP. Some other notable levels are 92 woodcutting, 90 fletching, and 89 crafting. As far as bank value goes, we're sitting at 97 mil high alch value or 122 mil GE value. I believe that's mostly from this stack of amethyst arrows, plus all the assorted ores and gems. Here's the best in slot tab for what I currently have after year 1. Obviously not that much. As for the rest of the bank, I'll just quickly scroll through it. Feel free to pause if you're interested, but this is mostly for future RuneScape to look back on and reminisce. Alright, enough of that, let's get back to the progress. Okay, well I'm not going to miss it this time. So there's level 78 smithing. We have about 1.5k gold ore left in the bank, and that is not going to get us to the next level. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do next. Guess we'll find out. Well, here's something I never thought I'd actually do. I ended up making all of the gold ore I have into gold bars, Well, except for that one. But there are over 26,000 gold bars in my bank. Besides from a few random events, every single one of those was made on Entrana. Almost 1,000 trips back and forth, well over 60 hours if I had to guess. Wow. Well, anyway, now that that's done, it's time to take a break from smithing and take care of the last non-smithing task we need to do in this chunk, and that's getting level 61 range for our chunk task. I could go back to killing the dark wizards for more nature runes, but honestly, I can't be asked to do a lot more world hopping at the moment, and cows drop beginner clues, which I'd like to get at least one more of so we can have a small opening of 10 beginner caskets here soon. This is the best gear I've got, and no upgrades are going to be made along the way, so to make this interesting, why don't we cue the ranging montage. Hey, there's the last step I need for another guaranteed beginner clue. Let's get this casket and do a quick opening. Casket acquired, now let's open these 10 caskets. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Hey, let's go! Monk's Robe bottom tee. Now we have the full set. Do we get anything else? No way, another Monk's Robe bottom. Wow. Oh, and a dupe sandwich lady bottom. And nothing else. Wow, okay. Check it out. A full set of monk's robes. That's huge for the prayer gear. Alright, back to the montage. Alright, range training is done. We did get one more beginner clue that we can keep in the bank, but we shouldn't be getting any more clues since we only have smithing left at the moment. Unfortunately, we can't complete the chunk task just yet because we don't have the runite bolts. We'll have to wait till right at the very end of the chunk to do that since they require level 88 smithing to make. Before we get fully back into smithing training, we do have one chunk task that we can complete, which is making an addy knife. There we go, chunk task complete. Small smithing update, I've reached 1,000 addy bars. I have made over 2,000 mithril bars and over 2,000 steel bars, although I use some of the steel bars to make steel arrows. And let's not forget about the 26,000 gold bars. I'm definitely paying penance for skipping out on the broken strut grind from before, but I am glad that I'm actually able to use some of my resources. This is still just abysmal XP per hour. I've now reached over 3,200 mithril bars, which is a totally insignificant number, but I am going to take a break and go repair some broken struts again. Same night at the broken struts, we are now level 79 smithing. This is the complete opposite of abysmal XP per hour. Before I stopped to make this clip, we were getting 47,000 XP per hour. I so wish the world hop limit wasn't a thing, because I would just force myself through this grind so I could be done with it. 80 smithing, 81 smithing. I've been making some mithril arrow tips while giving the world hop timer some time to refresh, and we're now up to over 48,000 arrow tips. That's going to be really good for future fletching training. So yesterday was the release of the 2025 birthday event, so let me give you a quick walkthrough. And there we are, that was the event. I don't care much for the items from this event, but I did unlock a lot of new things from Diango, so let's go grab some of those. You all might not care about these cosmetics, but they're really cool to have on a one chunk man. I think out of everything that I got, my favorite item is this sword, which, does it look familiar to you? No? Maybe if I turn it like this? What if I play this? But that's not why it's my favorite. It's my favorite because it could do this. That's so cool. RS. I love it. There's 82 smithing. With 82 smithing, we can now finish a chunk task here. We can make an adamant kite shield. So that's a chunk task complete. There's 83 smithing. There we go, 84 smithing. Wow, okay, apparently I missed it by a lot. I have less than 10,000 struts to repair until I get to level 88, and that doesn't even count any of the rune bars that I'm gonna make. XP goes up whenever you get higher levels in smithing, so it's definitely less than 10,000. Even less than this number. Okay, I'll admit it, this one snuck up on me. But 85 smithing. Here we go, level 86 smithing. And we can now make adamant plate legs, adamant plate skirts, and finally I can make rune axes. And I've been holding off on making any felling axes from my forestry grind, but that is going to change today. So let's get ourselves equipped. We do have to make our first rune bar. We still haven't done that yet, but I think that we have plenty of materials to do that. All right, let's do what we've done a lot. Take this boat over to Entrana and make our first rune bars. Unfortunately, you can only make 6 per inventory, and that's with the coal bag. So yeah, a lot of coal to be used here. Not very much XP to gain. Here we go. Runite bars on the account. Fantastic. Go ahead and make 1 inventory full here. Yeah, we'll have plenty to make ourselves a rune axe. All right, we have everything in our inventory. Let's head on down to the sewers, get some chunk tasks complete. All right, let's make 2 axes. One I'm going to use for clue steps, and the other one I can actually make into a felling axe. So let's make this. Yes, convert it into a felling axe. And there we go. That is a chunk task complete. Also, if you guys didn't know, under normal circumstances, these are actually the exact same. The only way that the felling axe gains its additional log cutting bonus that it has is if you actually have forester's rations. So then let's also make 1 adamant plate legs. There we go, chunk task complete. And I also want to make an adamant plate skirt. All right, so that's it. Just 2 more levels to go. We are out of here. I realize I never made an adamant full helm. Oh, good news. I brought an extra hammer just in case the first one breaks. Here we go. Adamant full helm. Okay, got it. Okay, I am going to commit myself to make 1,000 rune bars. It's gonna suck. It's gonna take a long time. I can only make 6 per inventory, but let's do it.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Okay, and that is the last of the runite ore that I'm going to make into bars right now. I always like to keep a little bit extra here. So yeah, we're done. 57k XP for 11 hours worth of work. 5k XP an hour. Of course, I banked, 1,100 runite bars, but running back and forth between here and Entrana just is not worth it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just go back to the struts. Okay, so I just played the Sailing Alpha, and I did a bunch of testing during the Pandemonium quest, and I figured out exactly which chunks are accessible and which are needed to unlock the sailing skill itself. So first, let me show you this map I created. Anyone can go look at this on the Chunk Picker V2 website. It's just map code SHKA. First things first, the chunks that are marked as unlocked being Port Sarim North and South, the one with the gem, Temperos, which is going to be replaced with Pandemonium, and the empty water chunk to the east of what is now Temperos. These are all required chunks to complete the Pandemonium quest. The chunk with the gem is where you get kicked off the boat during the quest, so you need to get there somehow, and you can actually get there in one of 2 ways. The most obvious way is going straight down from Port Sarim, using the chunk that I have labeled with a 1, but you can also technically go all the way around Tutorial Island and never have to go into chunk 1. So that's path number 2. All the rest of the chunks you see marked with blue flags are chunks that you're actually able to sail into at the beginning of the quest before you're rewarded with your own boat. If you go beyond these boundaries, then you and the boat just get reset back to Port Sarim, so you can't sail any further than that. So I wanted to bring this up to say that there's going to be a slight change to my chunk rolling strategy. Since the Pandemonium quest is required to unlock sailing, there's no reason to unlock water adjacent chunks outside of the ones that you can sail to during the quest. So in order to ensure that whatever water adjacent chunks I unlock will actually provide me with saleable area, until I've unlocked any of the combination of chunks required in order to complete the quest, I'm going to be very selective with the water adjacent chunks that I allow to be rolled. Let me show you what I mean. Since I just rolled Entrana, I previously had chunks 21 and 22 as rollable. However, both of these cannot be accessed directly via land, and I won't be able to sail to them until after I complete the quest. So I'm going to remove them from my chunk rolls. Hopefully this helps me unlock the correct water chunks I need before the sailing skill actually gets here, but who knows. I might get unlucky with another chunk roll, which you should be seeing in just a few minutes if I've edited this video correctly. Okay, and with this strut right here, we get level 87 smithing. I can now make rune maces, which is one of the best in slot tasks that I have to do. So let's go ahead and make that. We have one more level to go, and then we can roll another chunk. Very excited about this. Okay, here we are. Gonna make ourselves a rune mace, and there we go. Chunk task complete. Here we go. Level 88 smithing incoming. There we go. 88 smithing. Honestly, a very long time coming. I have spent so long in this chunk. You'll see when we switch over to the chunk map. I rolled on November 2nd. Well, here we are, the final destination for this particular chunk. I have everything that I need in order to finish this off. So let's get the bolts out of the way first. There we go. There's runite bolts. Let's make a medium helm. That's a chunk task complete. Wielding the runite bolts is a chunk task complete. And making the adamant plate body down here in the Draenor sewers is a chunk task complete. Yeah, that's everything done. That's a chunk complete. So, what we have here on the chunk picker. Let's do a quick refresher of where we were and where we went. We started in Port Sarim. We went up to South Falador Farm. We went into East Falador. We rolled South Falador with this loom. I think we then immediately rolled Musa Point and then Draenor Village. Editor's note, I actually forgot that we rolled the Mudskipper Point, and we rolled that as a water adjacent chunk to Musa Point docks. And then Entrana. Alright, we're going to go over quickly what all these different chunks mean to us. Chunk number 1 doesn't really do anything, but it does get us closer to the monastery, which would absolutely suck for me. I don't have anything as far as bones go. That'd basically be an immediate backlog until I can at least get like big bones. 2 is Draenor Village, Draenor Manor, which doesn't really give us anything because I can't get in there without 3. 3 gives us agility, which is really good. I would like that. It would give us like a wheat field, so others would do Puro. I'm not going to do Puro until I actually unlock Xanaris by doing the quest, because I'm only like 3 chunks away from that anyway. 4 is really nothing. 5 is really nothing. 6 is like the death chunk of 99 smithing, plus all the giant bosses and everything, but it would give me, 1 chunk that I need for sailing. Like the boat literally starts right here, so I can't even get into a boat with the sailing skill without this chunk. So I need this one. And this is the one that I think I'm going to roll, number 6. Number 7 is 99 smithing, but going the other way. I don't really want this because then it also opens up the Rivington House portal, and that's a whole other thing that I would have to deal with. Not looking forward to that. 8 is really nothing. 9 is Giant Mole, because I have candles from Entrana now, so I have light source and I can do Giant Mole. Although, it does give me a much closer furnace, and I would be very happy with that. Number 10, the rest of Musa Point, that'd be a small fishing grind, just some collection logs. 11 would be like 95 cooking, because I could actually grow apple tree right here in that patch. 95 cooking wouldn't really be that bad now, because I have this fishing method with the trout and salmon on Entrana. 12 is over here in Catherby. I don't think it does anything for me, but it would put me right next to 99 fletching, which I have like kind of started to prepare for. 13 is Port Khazard. This would be really nice because I'd be right here next to an anvil from a bank. This would be my closest one, and I would like to have that. It would be pretty large grind, I believe 91 cooking and like another big fishing requirement, but I wouldn't mind it. Corsair Cove would be pretty cool. Doesn't really have anything right now. I would love to get Void Knight's Outpost, both because of the anvil proximity, and I'd really like to get some combat going on this account. Pretty high level on this account, a lot of other skills trained, but I'm only like 58 combat. Port Piscarilius. Yeah, 17 is water, 18 is water, 19 is water, 20 is the left side of Entrana. There's like a bear over here, so I don't think it gives us anything. And finally, 21 is corner content, but of course it would unlock a future 99 fletching. If sailing comes out without unlocking required chunks, what will I do? I don't know. I've been talking with the boys about that, and they're like, why don't you just unlock sailing? Unlock the chunks that have sailing in it. So I think that's what I might do. All right, well, it's that time. I'm a little nervous. I'm thinking it's going to be 6. I just feel like it's going to be 6. All right, here we go. Gonna count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, okay. West Catherby. I'm not sure even what the tasks are there. I have a couple diary tasks. Buy a candle from the candle maker. Not a big deal since I already had candles. Ooh, a yew longbow from scratch around Sears Village. Can I actually do that? I mean, I'm gonna try. We're gonna hop back in the game. All right. Sad part about this is that I have to basically go to Karumja and then charter to Catherby. Here we are. Catherby. First things first, need to buy a candle. Oh my gosh, chunk task complete. I'll save you all the turmoil of watching me try to complete this other task of fletching a yew longbow from scratch in Sears Village. Apparently this was on the chunk picker because they thought that it was possible, but after many trials and tribulations, it is not possible, and Source actually changed it like the very next day. So that's a chunk complete with only the candle task. Alright, well, we can get 99 fire making now. Yay! Okay, I don't even know what this one does. Oh, Merlin's Crystal, step 1, okay. Canter and Diary. Oh, to teleport. That'd be my first teleport. That'd be awesome, actually. And we're gonna roll again, everybody. I didn't think this was gonna happen. What a weird looking map. Gonna roll another time. I still think 6 is gonna happen. It can't not happen, right? Right? Surely I'm gonna be punished for kicking this grind down the road. Alright, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No! Oh! Oh no! Oh! What did I say? Surely I'm gonna be punished? Why? Oh! Oh! Can we just restart? Like, you guys could just pretend like you didn't see that, and we could just roll again. Oh man. Oh no. Oh, well, good news is I get some unlocks for molds and stuff. So that's cool. All right, so first thing we need to do is actually come over here to the activity advisor and shout out to Josh Isn't Gaming, who worked with Source to get this meme grind limiter added. And yeah, we can just remove this now. I think I can just put 99 and I'll put this up to 88. Save levels, calculate tasks. There it is. Buy the smithing cape. There it is. All right, well, I can fill this in. And now we have future 99 construction just sitting there, menacing.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Good news is that I can actually unblacklist this and unlock it and remove the sticker because I basically have it, the whole thing unlocked now. Yeah, the crafting shop is dope. We can actually get a combat bracelet. This is a heck of a chonky task. Look at it. Or a chonky list. Look at this. You know what? I'm happy with it. I was kind of potentially maybe feeling a little funny about not necessarily just doing 99, but now I have the cape. I wanted to get the cape and I have the ability to get the cape. So yeah, this feels right. Alright, time to bring back those tasks that we got rid of earlier. It was only a matter of time. Before adding any new tasks, let's first take a look at the extra task list. I'm happy to report that thanks to having to get 99 smithing, we'll automatically complete the backlog task of obtaining a trim skill cape. So we could just remove that. And that means that our only other backlog task of getting 99 smithing is no longer backlogged. So let's add that to the main task list. Next, thanks to being able to craft Dragonstone jewelry with our new crafting bolts, which I'll get into in a bit, we can now cast level 5 enchant to enchant that type of jewelry. This will require us to get level 68 magic. A bit of an odd task, but we can now craft an air tiara since we have a tiara mold. Crafting an air tiara requires a tiara and an air talisman. Although this does grant runecraft XP, it's not a valid training method for me at the moment, since not only do I lack a 1 in 16 or better method of getting air talismans, but I only have a single method of getting a silver bar, which is a 1 in 100 draw drop from a baby impling. I only got one of these on my entire baby impling grind back when I was looking for 2 hard leathers, so this is a bit of a problem for me, which we'll come back to later. Next, since I can do Skippy and the Mogres in this chunk, I'm going to go ahead and get level 58 farming so I can +3 boost to grow a snake grass, since 1 is needed for the mini quest. After that, we have 3 best in slot amulets we can now craft, being the Amulet of Defense, Amulet of Strength, and an Amulet of Glory, which is huge for the account. Another huge upgrade is going to be a combat bracelet, and oddly enough, I do get a new boots best in slot now since I can dig up the ornate boots and gloves southeast of Remington. Our final best in slot item is for ranged defense, coming in at a massive +1 bonus. The silver sickle is our next chunk task. Also, do you see a problem here? We now have 2 silver item tasks, but I currently only have 1 silver bar in the bank. And since we can only get a silver bar as a rare drop from a baby impling, we're bringing back the 32 hunter impling countdown timer. More on that later. Finally, we can complete our first quest and mini quest, being Witch's Potion and Skippy and the Mogres respectively. We don't have a spot to put them right now, so we'll just let them hang out right here until we knock out some of the more simple tasks. And that's it. Let's get back to the stream clips where I get started on my new task list. Alright, well, here we are in the chunk. We have a lot of stuff that we can do. I guess first, let's go and check out our new crafting store, which I am pretty excited for. Ring mold. Got it. Necklace mold. Got it. Amulet mold. Got it. Needle and thread, which I can just buy now, which is very cool. Let's head over to Entrana and we'll make some jewelry. I will not be able to enchant everything just yet. No weapons or armor. Alright, let's do the sickle. That's best in slot. That's a chunk task complete. 1 strength ammy, 1 defense ammy, 1 glory, and 1 combat bracelet. Alright, I have these now. Walk past those monks with a sickle and they were probably like, bro, what did we just tell you? Alright, well, here we are. The cause for my troubles over the next few months. This guy. It's happening. But before it happens, we can delay by just a little bit because we can actually come up here and get a few more chunk tasks completed. Right here, I believe. I dig. It's not the right spot. But this one. Aha! Got it. Alright. Chunk tasks complete. Ornate boots and ornate gloves. Okay, now that we completed these 2 that don't really matter, let's just go ahead and move those away and put the 2 quest ones here. And let's do Skippy and the Mogres, I think. Bucket of water on Skippy. Alright, I need nettle tea. I'll give him the nettle tea, and then I'll have to wait on the rest of the hangover cure, but I can make like the chocolate milk. Okay, we have the bucket of milk. Let's use the chocolate dust on here. Now we have chocolatey milk, which we're not going to ever drink. Click use, and we will save that for when we have snape grass. Alright, jewelry enchant. Let's do defense, and that's a chunk task complete. Strength amulet. That's a chunk task complete. And we can't do this yet because we need 68 magic. Have nettle water. There we go. Nettle tea. And we can go ahead and give the nettle tea to our friend. Okay, we gave the nettle tea to Skippy, and we're all done for the time being because we need the chocolate dust and the bucket of milk, which we already did, but we also need the snape grass. So we'll come back to this. But let's go ahead and start Witch's Potion. I'm in search of a quest. This is going to be my first quest. Bonk this rat real quick. Take the rat tail, and then we have to come over here and burn this meat. Got the ingredients, have everything, pass the ingredients over, and drink from the cauldron. There we go. Witch's Potion. First quest complete. Alright, so I just reached the hop limit while repairing broken struts, which I do quite often. And something I could be doing while waiting for my hop limit to refresh is training up my magic. However, I need to buy a bunch of runes for that, and in order to buy runes, I need money. So to make money, I'm going to head to Draenor Village and smith and alch some adamant plate bodies. So when I come down here to make my adamant plate bodies, I can only make 5 per inventory. So what I'm going to do for these last 2 is actually make some adamant bolts, because these are going to be extremely useful for all sorts of PVM. Obviously I have a ton of diamonds and rubies, and at the end of this chunk, I didn't actually think about this until just recently, I am going to have a rune crossbow. So, you know, that's a really good range upgrade. I mean, heck, that's actually the best range weapon that I have on my main Ironman account right now. Okay, here's the first baby impling. Hopefully that I can catch if it doesn't run away too far. Alright, cheese. I don't want cheese. Alright, I have myself 56 adamant plate bodies. So let's go ahead and take out like, I don't know, 45 of these. And let's make some money. This is going to make us a good bit of money. Probably the most money we've actually ever had on the account. And we're up to 792k. And we're going to just go ahead and go buy the runes. Get this over with. Okay, so small change of plans. I was originally going to cast 13,700 plus casts of Curse, but that would be a lot of manual clicking, and 13,700 times is a lot to do that. So I was looking for some alternatives, and I immediately found that I can spend just an extra 180,000 coins in order to just be able to cast Wind Strike. So yeah, I could splash Wind Strike 72,500 times instead of manually casting Curse like 13.7 thousand times, and that seems a lot better to me. 72,500 plus casts of Airstrike at 5 ticks each, which is 3 seconds in game, is going to be over 60 hours of splashing. So it's going to take a while, but it's also going to be relatively easy. Alright, I have now purchased all of the runes that I need. 73,000 of each, that's plenty more than I need. But I just did a bunch of world hopping, and it seems that maybe my world hop limit has reset. So instead of sitting here and AFKing, we're going to go and train some more smithing. Alright, I once again hit the hop limit, so now we come over here and begin our splashing journey on these seagulls. 68 magic in 60 hours. There we go, first smithing level on this grind, level 89 smithing. It's the first farming milestone that we have on this grind. There we go, level 50 farming. I'm definitely going to have to go to the master farmers and thieve some much better seeds, because I'm literally getting about like maybe 400 XP per hour. Alrighty folks, well it is finally happening. We've been sat here doing a bunch of splashing for 60 hours or something like that, but we are just a few casts away from getting level 68 magic. There we go, level 68 magic. That is a, well, chunk level complete for a chunk task. I can now enchant Dragonstone jewelry and enchant Dragonstone tip crossbow bolts. So we have the level that we need in order to make a couple new things. Let's go do that. That is going to be huge. I never thought that I would be on an Ironman account where I would have like an amulet of glory and a combat bracelet before I even had any rune armor. Yeah, so let's get out of our splashing gear because we don't have to do this anymore. We have our Dragonstone amulet and our combat bracelet. And let's see, we're gonna complete a couple chunk tasks here. Cast level 5 enchant on the Dragonstone amulet, giving us an amulet of glory, completing that chunk task. And we just cast the level 68 spell, so that completes another chunk task. And then let's also do the combat bracelet. There we go, obtain a combat bracelet. Chunk task complete. Check this out, amulet of glory on a 1 chunk account. That is very, very nice. And a combat bracelet as well. We also did end up with 61 combat, so that is very nice. And now we can just focus on some of these other things that we need to get done. While we're already completing some chunk tasks, I figured let's come down here and flex our new level 89 smithing. Make myself a rune sword, which is a best in slot task for me. And that's another chunk task complete. Alright, well this level snuck up on me a little bit, but let's repair one more of those. And one more of these, and there we go, 90 smithing. That is an absolutely huge level, and with that we can actually make a rune scimitar, which is pretty freaking cool. Alright, I figured since I have my 90 smithing now, I might as well go ahead and make one of the most iconic low-level weapons in all of RuneScape, the rune scimitar. Look at that. That is absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy to have one of these. And I have a little surprise for those who don't know. Give me 1 sec. If we look here in the bank, we have a rune scimitar ornament kit that we got from some beginner clues. So let's slap that bad boy on. Now we have a Zamorakian rune scimitar. That is so cool. And I almost forgot to say it, but chunk task complete. Small update here. I was almost to level 91 smithing, and unfortunately I hit the world hop limit. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off level 55 farming. Alright, everything is grown. So with this I should get my farming level 55. There we go. I can now grow mahogany trees, cacti, and noxifer. I will certainly be doing noxifer very, very soon. Okay, one more strut repair, And there we go, that's level 91 smithing. This is a huge level because I can now make a rune crossbow limb. Let's actually go ahead and make that. Alright, and here we are. Let's select the runite limbs, make that, put that on the stock. And now use the crossbow string on this, and we have a rune crossbow on the Xtreme One Chunk Ironman. That is absolutely massive. Now, especially with my Amulet of Glory and the combat bracelet that I've made, this chunk has actually been really beneficial for my PVM setup. It doesn't show up as a chunk task because I guess technically, rune knives are better, but this is definitely an upgrade. Don't get me wrong. Plus with my ability to enchant some gem tip bolts, I basically have like a real weapon now. Okay, so we are in the special place where we only have 67 XP remaining, and we have easily over that ready to claim from our farming patch. So yeah, we're going to be getting 58 here in just a little bit, and in order to plant these snapegrass seeds, I first need to make my pie boost, but now I have 3, and I can +3 boost. Alright, here we are at the farming patch, and all I really have to do is just pick these nasturtiums, and there we go, that is level 58 farming. I can grow white lilies, although I don't have any seeds. Eat garden pie, plant snapegrass. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now all we have to do is just wait for this snapegrass to grow, and we'll be able to finish Skippy and the Mogres. Okay, well, I am logging back in here, and should have grown snapegrass if I'm lucky. Yes. Oh, the nasturtium died, but I do have snapegrass. Awesome. Okay, so let's see if we can actually harvest this without the garden pie. Oh, we can. Sweet. I don't even have to use another garden pie, so it's just for the planting. That is officially chunk task complete. I'm just going to leave this dead nasturtium in there as a reminder. I think I did plenty of active farming for a skill that's supposed to be passive for me. So just to be certain, let's make sure we pull up our quest helper, and now I just have to use the snapegrass on the chocolatey milk. And now I have the hangover cure, and I think that is all that I need, yeah. Alright, here we go, use the hangover cure on Skippy. Alright, well that is Skippy and the Mogres completed. There we go, so that is another chunk task complete. Alright, one more and we'll have another milestone here. There we go, level 92 smithing. That is officially halfway to 99, which is terrifying because I have so much longer to go and I've been at this for so long. But I can now make rune full helms and rune throwing knives, and those are actually 2 best in slot tasks. Alright, here we are. So let's go ahead and make a rune full helm. That is a chunk task complete. And let's go ahead and make a rune knife. Well, 5 of them. And that is another chunk task complete. 2 more down, a few more to go. And there we go, 93 smithing. Another huge milestone. I can now make rune square shields, which doesn't necessarily pop up as a best in slot task, but I know that it kind of is because it's like the most defense that I can have while, ranging. So I am going to go make one of those, just to have it. Alright, here we are. Alright, well, there we go. That's a new item. And as always, we keep going. Yay. I'm actually going to keep it as a part of my fit, just as a reminder of how far I've come. Isn't that sweet? So earlier I ran out of login attempts, as I do very often. When I do that, sometimes I come over here and do some smithing. I've been making more gold ore, and as you can see, this is going to be my last inventory. Let's go make our last inventory of gold ore again. And if I ever go back to Motherlode Mine, then I guess I'll have more gold ore to smith. And there we have it, last of the gold ore. Well, I guess I'll take a break now. The coal and other things like that, not fun to do on Entrana. Gold, not too bad. Alright, here's going to be another huge milestone. Level 94 smithing. That is a big one, because I can actually now make rune warhammers. So even though that is not a best in slot item, we do get to chunk off a chunk task for that. So let's go ahead and go make a rune warhammer. Also, I always do this. I just bring an extra hammer, forgetting that I had a hammer in my inventory. Whatever. But here we go. Alright, rune warhammer. Here we go. Equipping the rune warhammer. That is a chunk task complete. 40 strength requirement done, because, I already had that. Alright, we're going to put these in the bank. And, yeah, onwards to 95. The actual next big milestone for me isn't going to come until level 96. Level 95 gives me a rune battle axe, which I already had, and then level 96 is actually a rune chain body. So that's going to be cool. There's level 95 smithing. As I said, no big unlocks because it's just a rune battle axe, which I already have. And there we go. There is level 96. We're getting there. 3 more levels to go. And if you didn't know, this is the first level where you actually have to get 1,000,000 XP to get to the next level. This is also the first level where you get 8-digit numbers for your XP. And we can also make rune chain bodies, which is a chunk task. All right, we're at the anvil, chain body. There we go. I have now obtained a rune chain body. So there's a chunk task complete. And now just 3 more levels separate us from the end of this chunk. All right, here is a huge update. With this strut, we get level 97 smithing. That's so huge. 2 more levels to go and we'll have level 99. And unfortunately, this is actually like the last milestone that I really care about because I can make rune kite shields. And then at level 98, I can't make anything worthwhile. So the only next step is level 99. All right, here we are for the last time before our major goals are done. But we can go ahead and make ourselves a rune kite shield, which is a chunk task. Let's equip that. Be reminded now of how far we've come by wielding this thing all the time. Chunk task complete. Okay, scary milestone here. With that baby impling, I now get level 31 hunter. So that's 1 level away from level 32. And I've discussed it before, but level 32 does provide me the opportunity to barehand young implings, which opens up a whole can of worms when it comes to rune essence and pure essence and all sorts of stuff like that. And I do have the air altar right here. So yeah, we just don't want to think about that. As a reminder, I'm catching baby implings for the 1 in 100 silver bar drop, so I can make an air tiara as a chunk task. Holy shit, guys. I have been hunting implings on and off for so long while doing some trips back and forth to Entrana. I've got my main here. Well, you know, Ironman, whatever. He's been scouting. He just had this baby impling in the area. He pulled him from over here. I probably cast Dark Lure on him, I don't know, 12 times or something, and I have my second silver bar. And I just caught my last baby impling at 837 XP away from level 32, which I had 42 chances left before I got the next level. Good, that's so good. I don't have to get any more hunter XP whatsoever. Now, I need to go make this air tiara. And now let's craft a tiara. Nice, let's put it on at the moment while it's nice and shiny. All right, use the talisman on a mysterious rune, or ruins. Okay, here we are. Yep, new music track, Serene. Use the tiara on the altar. And there we go, I have now crafted an air tiara. And that gave me 25 XP. But in case you all are wondering, no, this is not a runecraft method for me. First of all, can't get air talismans at a rate of 1 in 16 or better. And 2, that silver bar is literally 1 in 100 from a baby implement at the moment, and that's the only way that I can get silver bars. So even if I unlocked a way to get silver ore, or like silver bars continuously, I still wouldn't need to do this method for runecrafting. At the moment. That could change. I hope it doesn't. Alright folks, last huge milestone before the huge milestone. We're gonna click this button, and we're gonna get 98 smithing. Literally have goosebumps right now. It's almost over. We have a lot more strut clicking to do. Let's see exactly how much. 8,358 more struts to repair until level 99. Alright, it's coming soon. Coming very soon. Alright everybody, well we have reached the end of the video. I'm currently just over 150k XP till level 99. That's about 3 hours worth of work, not too bad. And I have a D&D game like 2 days from now where I play for 3 hours, so that's a perfect time to mindlessly get that done. But anyway, I'm sure some of you want to see me get 99 smithing, but if that's the case, you're going to have to join me on my chunk rolling stream this Saturday, August 2nd at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. You'll have to do your own conversion or just find the post for the chunk rolling live stream, which you'll be able to see on my channel if you're watching this soon after release. Come join in on the fun. We've thankfully gotten 2 pretty crazy skills out of the way, but we're not in a clear just yet. I'd say about half of my potential chunks are going to have a significant grind, so let's hope we get lucky and get some free real estate. Before I shout out the channel members, I just need to share that there's most likely going to be a few month gap between this video and the next, as my wife is soon going to be working through her dissertation project for her PhD, and she's going to need a lot of my support in that time period, so I most likely won't have a ton of time to play or edit. In addition, I'd really like my in-game progress to get a bit more ahead of what's uploaded to YouTube, since that helps take the pressure off me a little bit more. I'm not quitting by any means, but I just wanted to be transparent, and I'd understand if any of these people I'm about to name want to pause their channel membership as well. Speaking of, thanks to all these great people who continue to support me. We have Brian at the Ruby tier, Alexander Nielsen at the Emerald tier, and Dewey and Kitty at the Sapphire tier. Thanks so much to each and every one of you, and the rest of you Opal members, just know that you're appreciated as well. That's going to do it for this video. I hope to see you at the chunk rolling stream, but either way, I'll see you in the next one. Fair winds and following seas to you all, me hearties.